and you had a box with $20 million, you might as well starve with the money in there. If someone came by with just a fried chicken and he said, well, I want $19 million for my fried chicken, you might as well pay it because you don't have anything else. You're going to starve otherwise, okay? So real values, economic values, are objects, which in economic science are called goods, goods and services, goods and services. Money is just a symbolic form of representation of those values. That's all money is, okay? So, well, it's clear that the soldier is giving the state something. He's paying something to the state. He's working for 1 year or 2 years, however long it may be, for the state. So he's giving an economic value to the state. He's giving his work for 1 or 2 years. Okay? Now the point is, how do we determine the monetary equivalent of this economic value that the soldier is given the state? And this is what you need to focus your attention most. Okay? Well, let me start with a simple example. Say I want this computer here, and so I ask this guy, how much is this computer? And he says, it's $1,000. And I say, you know what? I'm a mafia guy, and I want this computer for $100. So here's the money. Here's $100, and I'll take this computer with me. How much money am I appropriating from him? How much am I stealing from him in monetary terms? $900, right? Because this computer is the equivalent to $1,000. I gave him 100, and I took the computer, which is worth 1,000. So I'm appropriating $900. Perfect. Now, say I want this guy who's from Bulgaria. I want him to teach me Bulgarian. Okay, and so I ask him, how much are you going to charge me for a 2-month intensive course in Bulgarian? And he says $1,000. So I'm again the mafia guy, and so I say, well, you know what? I'm going to give you $100, and you're going to do it for me, whether you want or not. I'm going to put my gun to his, and he's going to do it for me. How much am I stealing from him? Again, $900, thank you. Come on, guys, wake up. $900. His work is worth $1,000. I give him 100, and he's going to do it whether he wants or not. Well, the Gates Commission says that is exactly what happens with compulsory military service, with the draft. We draft these guys. Now, they have economists who can determine how much we would need to pay people in order to attract them to enlist voluntarily. They know, given this particular segment of the population, males 18 through 25, given the market situation, given the job situation, they know exactly how much they have to offer to get them to enlist. So the Gates Commission says, now listen to this. This is the definition of the conscription tax. That's what the Gates Commission calls it, the conscription tax, okay? Don't forget this name, the conscription tax. Let me write it down for you. Conscription tax. So, what is the conscription tax? The conscription tax is the difference between what a draftee gets and what he should be getting, what he would be getting under an all-volunteer system. That is a conscription tax. So if we know we would need to pay a draftee $1,000 a month to get him to enlist voluntarily, and we give him $100 a month, the difference between the 100 and the 1,000, it's a tax that we are forcing that guy to pay the state. Does that make sense? Do you guys understand what I'm talking about? It's a simple thing, right? What that means is, in very simple terms, we are burdening these guys with an incredible high tax. And you know what? The Gates Commission says that is unconstitutional and therefore unethical. You have a question?
Yeah. What about from another perspective? What if the guy didn't go to the army and then he could have made even more by performing some kind of
Okay,
job?
that's a good point. Let me repeat that question for the recording, and I'm going to answer that question again. He's saying, well, what about if, say, the guy is an engineer. He could be making much more money outside. Instead of making $100 a month, he could be making whatever, $4,000 a month, and he's being forced to work for $100. So he's missing that money he would be making by working for AT&T or IBM or something, right? Well, no, we don't care about that. We call that the cost of opportunity. It's not the same. I'm happy you made the question. It's not the same as the conscription tax. The cost of opportunity, the money he could be making if instead of being a draftee, a soldier, he were working for AT&T, that's something up in the air. He might be working for AT&T or he might be unemployed. We don't know about that. The conscription tax is the economic value that he is actually giving the state. He's actually giving his work. It's not what he could be doing or he could be making. That's called the cost of opportunity. Don't confuse the two concepts. That's not the one we're interested in. That's not the one that the Gates Commission addresses. Okay? So, again, the difference between what the draftee makes and what he would be making is what the Gates Commission calls the conscription tax. Now, that's unconstitutional. Why is that? Well, because taxes in this country and in the whole democratic world are proportional and progressive. Proportional means that you pay a certain proportion, everyone pays the same, within certain rankings, people pay the same proportions. So if you make under $50,000 a year or whatever, you are going to pay 18% or whatever it is, I'm making this up, 18% of all your money to the state. But if you make $100,000 a year, then it's not going to be 18%. It's going to be 27%. Or we call that proportional. I'm sorry, progressive. So proportional and progressive. Now, is this tax proportional and progressive? I mean, the guy is making $100 a month, and he's paying $900 a month in taxes. Does that sound proportional to you? No, it's not. It's not only non-proportional, it is not progressive either. It is regressive. It is the opposite from progressive. It is non-proportional and regressive, and therefore it is, for the Gates Commission, clearly unconstitutional. The Gates Commission says this is like if the state suddenly came up with a tax, special tax, say for women. This is my example. Okay, the Gates Commission gives some other example. I don't remember which one exactly, but something like this. Like women 30 to 36 years of age who are, say, 5'6" tall or taller are going to pay special tax 1 year of their lives or 2 years of their lives to sustain public TV, for example. Well, the Gates Commission says if the government came up with such kind of a tax, it would be unconstitutional. It would be struck down by the courts immediately. Arbitrary, completely, so that wouldn't go. However, because this tax is not paid in monetary form, it's paid in kind. It's paid in kind. It gives the impression, because it's paid in kind, it gives the impression that we are not paying a tax. But in reality, we are, because what matters in the economy is precisely work, services, and things, not the money. The money is in itself, it's not a value. The value is the computer, the book, the work someone does for you, that's the value. So that's what the guy is giving. Is giving that value in kind. Now we have a very clear piece of evidence that it is a tax in the fact that in many European countries until the early 20th century, but also even today in some countries, when someone is called up to serve in the military, he's given two options. You serve for 2 years, or you pay, say, $100,000. That is like saying, look, we have imposed this special tax on you to sustain a public